8 things you should absolutely never tell anyone, even to close relations. There are 8 things you should absolutely never tell anyone. No matter how good your relationship is, even with your parents, you will face severe consequences if you do. The 7th thing can lead to a broken family and divorce. The content below is very practical and can completely change your thinking. I know your life is very busy, and what I'm saying may not be easy to absorb, especially difficult to grasp. If you only listen once, my advice is to watch it to the end. Listen to it again and again when you are free or doing housework. Please share and save the playlist for your convenience. I am sure that in a few short months, your thinking will develop by leaps and bounds to a new level. Greetings to you all. Today, we will learn about 8 things that should absolutely not be shared with close friends because friends are different people. It is better to keep these things in your heart than to say them. Otherwise, you will encounter unnecessary troubles and attract unworthy petty people. First, the money in your pocket. Many years ago, in an ancient town, there was a small blacksmith shop owned by an old blacksmith. The old man sat inside the shop, and the goods were displayed outside. Whenever you passed by the shop, you would see him lying on a chair inside. Beside him was a small wooden table with an old purple clay teapot of unknown origin. His daily income was not much, just enough for tea and meals. Because of his old age, he didn't need anything more, so he was very content. One day, an antique dealer passed by the shop and happened to see the purple clay teapot next to him. The antique teapot was dark purple-black like ink. After careful observation, the man identified it as the work of a famous artist from the Qing dynasty, extremely rare, and wanted to buy it for 100,000 yuan. At first, the old man was very surprised, but then he refused because the teapot was a family heirloom left by his grandfather. 3 generations of his family had drunk water from this teapot while working as blacksmiths. Although he did not sell the teapot, the old man lost sleep for the first time in his life. The teapot that he had used for 60 years and thought was an ordinary object now had someone willing to pay 100,000 yuan for it. Before, he used to close his eyes and drink tea, but now, as soon as he heard a sound, he would sit up to check if the teapot was still there, which made him extremely uncomfortable. What was even more unbearable was when the people in the village found out that he owned a valuable antique teapot. They came to ask him if he had any other treasures. Some even started borrowing money from him, and his children wanted to divide the assets from this teapot. The old man's life was completely turned upside down. When the antique dealer returned for the second time, this time bringing 200,000 yuan, the old man could not bear it anymore. He gathered the neighbors, raised his hammer, and in front of everyone, smashed the purple clay teapot into pieces. Soon after, his life returned to its former peace, and people said he lived to be 100 years old. When hearing this story, perhaps the most shocking moment is when the old man raised his hammer and smashed the teapot. The broken pieces that fell were not only fragments of the teapot, but also the temptation, greed, and endless infatuation. But the truth is that the teapot he smashed was a fake, and he secretly sold the real teapot to the antique dealer, earning 200,000 yuan and preventing the greed of outsiders and his children. It was thanks to that retirement money that he lived so long. How many close relationships have changed because of money? Friends become enemies because of money. When others know you have money, they may want to borrow from you. If you don't agree, they will doubt your feelings. Repeated money transactions can fade friendship and kinship because people's hearts often do not stand firm against the test of money. Part 2. Your emotional life. There was a man who always carried the image of an unforgettable woman in his heart. He would ask everyone he met, "How can I forget her?" Finally, he heard that there was a temple on a mountain with a great master who specialized in saving ordinary people. The man was overjoyed and immediately went up the mountain. When he met the great master, he immediately told him everything, speaking very enthusiastically and in detail. The great master did not interrupt him, but quietly sat with his eyes closed, listening. When the man stopped speaking, the great master opened his eyes and said, "Little monk, bring out some tea." Seeing the man's expectant look, the great master took out a small bottle and said, "This water will help you forget all your worries. Drink it and you will forget everything." "Do you want to drink it?" The man looked at the bottle but hesitated. He asked, "Will drinking it make me forget all my worries?" The great master shook his head and replied, "Joy, sorrow, separation, and reunion are all temporary emotions. Nothing is entirely good or entirely bad." The great master said, "Therefore, some things that are worth forgetting need to be forgotten." Upon hearing this, the man hurriedly shook his head and waved his hand. "No, great master, I don't want to forget. I just don't want to think about her anymore. Forgetting just one person is enough." The great master smiled and said nothing more. Instead, he turned to the little monk beside him and asked, "Have you copied the scriptures today?" The little monk obediently replied, "Master, I dare not neglect any day." The great master nodded and then asked, "How do you remember these scriptures?" The little monk did not understand why the master was asking him this, but still honestly replied, "I think about them a lot, read them a lot, and naturally, I remember them." The great master asked again, "So, if I want you to forget these scriptures, what would you do?" The little monk was confused and thought for a long time before saying, "I don't know, but if I remember them by thinking and reading a lot, perhaps stopping thinking and stopping reading will make me forget." The great master turned to the man and said, "You ask everyone you meet, and you tell everyone about her. You even tell me everything in detail. So how can you say you want to forget?" Even this little monk understands that not thinking and not remembering can lead to forgetting. So what are you still clinging to? In my opinion, you don't really want to forget her, but you just feel that your current life is not as happy as before. Love is not a one-sided affair, but the beauty of empathy. For those who are not meant for you, no matter how persistent you are, you cannot change the predetermined outcome. Only letting go and accepting can bring the most beautiful scenery to life. After all, if they are not the person destined for you, no matter how outstanding or how hard you try, they will not be with you until the end of your life. But the person who is destined for you, even if you go around in circles, you will eventually meet again and be together. Fate will naturally arrange it. When you love someone who is not meant for you, learn to let go. Don't complain or blame. Believe that when you miss the person who is not meant for you, you will meet the person who is truly meant for you. Part 3. Your Weaknesses and Private Secrets. One day, the crow said to the hedgehog, "Your armor is amazing. I envy you." The hedgehog could not resist the compliment and said to the crow, "I'll tell you a secret. Actually, my armor is not without flaws. When I curl up, there is a small opening in my belly. If anyone blows into it, I will be tickled and open up." The crow was very surprised, but when parting, the hedgehog instructed, "You must not reveal this secret to anyone. If the fox finds out, I'm doomed." The crow promised firmly, "Don't worry, I will never betray my friends." Not long after, the crow fell into the fox's hands. When the fox was about to eat the crow to save its life, the crow revealed the hedgehog's secret to the fox. So, the fox spared the crow and caught the hedgehog. In life, you must never tell your secrets to anyone. Weaknesses and secrets can be someone else's lucky charm when your life is in danger. This happens often in work. Some people, wanting deeper friendships, will often share their innermost thoughts or weaknesses to gain the trust of their friends, just like how the hedgehog revealed its soft belly. When everyone is still friends, everything may be fine, but when interests conflict, friends can become rivals, and the weaknesses you once revealed will become weapons against you in a battle. A soldier said to the general, "General, 200 meters ahead there is a marksman, but that shooter is not accurate. Even though he has fired many times, he has not hit anyone." The general asked, "Then why don't you take him down?" The soldier replied, "General, are you crazy? Do we want them to replace him with a better shooter, a more skilled sniper?" This story teaches us that we should know how to detect the weaknesses of our opponents, but we should not remind them. You never know if friends might become your rivals. If you reveal all your weaknesses, you will become the one who is exposed and easily attacked like that inaccurate shooter. Never belittle yourself in front of others, or you will create the broken window effect. When a window is broken and not repaired in time, other windows will be destroyed one after another. Similarly, a pile of garbage, if not cleaned up, will cause people to throw more garbage there. Many people belittle themselves to reduce the expectations of others and receive more recognition from the other party, but they overlook a fact. When you start belittling yourself, you become someone who is easily taken advantage of in a group, someone who is just used by others and even a place to vent anger. Belittling yourself does not help you advance or improve relationships. It only makes you lose the respect and admiration of others. Therefore, cherish yourself. That is the only way to overcome the broken window effect. Chapter 4: Mistakes of the Past. Once upon a time, there was a scholar who went to the capital to take an imperial examination, but he was framed by someone, causing him to fail. The girl he had loved since childhood also left him. From then on, the scholar's spirit sank. Day after day, he was sad and only knew how to drink. One day, he met a high monk and begged for a way out. The high monk didn't say much, only asking him to follow him for 3 days. In those 3 days, the high monk only gave him water to drink, not food. Each day, he had to feed the horses, chop firewood, and sleep in the stable at night. 3 days passed, and he suddenly cried loudly on the road, regretting that he had made himself suffer so much. The high monk said, "Weren't you just like this before? Punishing yourself for other people's mistakes, bringing suffering upon yourself. Painful experiences in the past, don't mention them too often." Adam Smith said in The Theory of Moral Sentiments, "In this world, no one can truly empathize with another person's pain. Even if you are pierced by 10,000 arrows, in so much pain that you don't want to live anymore, it is still your own business. At a certain age, you will realize that everything is indeed like that. This life is like a play. Scenes of loneliness and no one helping are normal. When you laugh, the whole world will laugh with you, but when you cry, you will cry alone. You cannot ask others to understand your difficulties, nor can you expect everyone to understand your pain. Although this is cruel, it is the truth. Like the sad story of the little monkey. When it was foraging for food, its arm was scratched by a branch, and blood flowed continuously. But instead of taking care of the wound, it kept showing its wound to everyone to seek comfort. Some people who saw it showed sympathy, and some people just found it funny. Every time it met someone, it would open its wound and show it again and again, making the wound unable to heal, and it almost lost its life due to infection. The writer Mo Yen said very rightly, "Don't think that the whole world cares about your business. Do you think everyone is watching you? In fact, everyone has their own concerns, and no one cares about your business. Don't keep telling others about your pain because 20% don't care, and 80% are probably laughing at you secretly. Things that have passed, each time you mention them, only increases the sadness. The pain of humans is not the same, and the most difficult days can only be overcome by oneself. Painful experiences in the past, heal them yourself. Expecting others is not as good as relying on yourself. Waiting for someone to save you is not as good as finding a way out yourself. Don't easily tell your past to anyone, and don't easily reveal your cards because of one moment of connection. All those who bully you are people who know you well. The person you trust the most can hurt you more deeply, because they can easily hit your weaknesses with just one move." Chapter 5: Resentment against Fate. There was a couple, the husband was an alcoholic, and the wife was a gambler. They had 2 sons, but their fates were completely different. The older son had a successful career, while the younger son broke the law and went to prison. Someone asked the older brother why he was so successful, and he replied, "Because I have parents like this. If I don't try hard, who will take care of this family?" Then they asked the younger brother, "Why did you go to prison?" And he replied, "Because I have parents like this, they have badly influenced me." The 2 brothers grew up in the same family. One thought of trying to improve his life, and the other blamed his parents for corrupting him, living day after day without ambition. In fact, there are many people in life like these 2 brothers. Living in the same era, some people look forward, while others only know how to blame others. The habit of blaming is just a disaster that makes us fall into despair step by step, while those who never complain can overcome dangers. U.S. President Abraham Lincoln, after being unemployed and failing in the 1832 election, started a business, but in less than a year, the company went bankrupt. In the next 17 years, he had to run around to pay off debts. But he didn't complain at all. Lincoln continued to run for Congress in 1846 and finally succeeded. Imagine if after bankruptcy, Lincoln blamed fate and collapsed. His life later would only be gloomy. As someone once said, complaining about being in the dark is not as good as picking up a lamp and walking. Complaining is like pouring water into your own shoes, making it even more difficult to walk. Complaining is one thing, trying is another. In the future, when talking, avoid complaining. Chapter 6. Unlucky Words. A netizen recounted that a colleague of hers was pregnant with twins, but she always complained that it was troublesome and didn't know how to take care of 2 children. She would jokingly say to anyone she met, "Want one of them?" As a result, when she gave birth, 1 child died. Another friend joked that he had never been in an ambulance and unexpectedly that night, he was poisoned by CO gas and had to go to the hospital in an ambulance. A high school classmate of mine had a mother who was electrocuted while planting rice. We raised money to help, but then another friend joked, "Why doesn't anyone raise money for me?" A week later, his mother was also electrocuted while planting rice, and everyone had to raise money to help him again. Another netizen said that her colleague always said, "So annoying," and eventually got cancer. When working in a sewing factory, a colleague's hand was pierced by a sewing machine, and he joked, "I wish the other hand was also pierced to be symmetrical." Less than a few days later, the other hand was really pierced. The internet phenomenon OCKAI in China once replied to fans, "I won't go back to Guizhou. I'll sleep under the sea." As a result, he died by drowning in a car accident. Therefore, you must avoid unlucky words. Don't say unlucky words or inauspicious words, because a person's fate depends on the words spoken. What you usually say will create your own destiny. You look at a tree, if the leaves are yellow, it may be because its roots have a problem. People are the same, your words are linked to your fate. When angry, don't say curses, because when you curse others, you are actually sowing bad karma for yourself. Later, bad consequences will come, but you don't know when it will happen. Anyway, when you have sown bad karma in life, bad fruit will naturally come, because cause and effect never fail. Cursing others brings no benefit to them, nor does it benefit you. Curses inherently carry resentment. When you say those words, your face and expressions will be distorted. Over time, your face will be distorted. Before the age of 20, your appearance is inherited from your parents. After the age of 20, your appearance is cultivated by yourself. A kind heart and gentle words will make your appearance become gentle and approachable. This is the way to cultivate yourself, and it also brings good luck to yourself. There is a saying among the people, "Good things don't come true, bad things come true." The ancients believed that writing and words have power, so they need to be respected in the heart, especially when speaking. The mouth is the door of fortune and misfortune. Fortune enters through the mouth, and misfortune comes out of the mouth. Speaking recklessly is the root of disaster. As a person, you need to be careful in your words. Hopefully, some friends who often have unlucky thoughts, bad thoughts, and words spoken in the past, from now on will reduce and stay away completely. The 7th principle, the joy of success. In the past, there was a boss who liked to speak bluntly, hurting many people. Recently, he bought a large villa in the city, but did not show it off online. He once said that he suddenly became more mature overnight because, 3 years ago at a village party when he was drunk, he said that making 500 million in a year was just a small matter. Half a year later, the fish in his pond were poisoned to death by someone. In places without street lights at night, only cattle roam. The most cruel thing in human nature is not being able to bear seeing others live better than oneself, especially someone who was previously inferior to oneself. As Du Yong once said, "Don't show off happiness, don't show off achievements, and don't show off success." Basic physics knowledge shows that things that are exposed will be lost. Being kept in cold storage is the best way to keep them fresh. Gradually, you will understand that life is your own and has nothing to do with others. Those at higher levels often cultivate to hide their talents, while those at lower levels like to show off. If you share your joy with the wrong people, it will become bragging. If you are a friend who doesn't meet the requirements, I will be sad. If you are a friend who ranks first, I will be even sadder. I hope you are good, but I don't hope you are better than me. In reality, most people can accept the advancement of strangers, but cannot tolerate the advancement of those around them. It's like a beggar doesn't envy a millionaire, but will definitely envy another beggar with a higher income. What is easily achieved is called envy. What is not achieved is called admiration. In the novel Malice, there is a story. Kusuki's grandfather and Hitaka were classmates from childhood and close friends living on the same street. When they were in school, Kusuki's grandfather was often bullied, and Hitaka always protected him. After graduating from high school, they both went their separate ways and no longer met. Many years later, they met again. Hitaka had become a famous writer, while Kusuki's grandfather was not living smoothly. When he learned about Hitaka's situation, the jealousy in him arose. Even though Hitaka helped him find a new job, he could not avoid feeling jealous and resentful. While comfortably accepting Hitaka's help, he secretly plotted, and in the end, he killed Hitaka. At the end of the story, his motive and hatred were revealed. I hate you. Hate that you fulfilled my dream before me. I hate your superior life. I also hate my own weakness. Hate that luck doesn't come to me. Hate that I am not capable enough. I pour all my resentment on you. No one really wants you to live well except your parents and a few close friends. Very few people are truly happy for your success. For most people, finding out about you is just to confirm that you are not better than them. There was a line in the movie Way of the Heaven that said, people need to learn to keep two things secret. One is their thoughts, and the other is their abilities. The eighth principle, family matters. A netizen once shared, half a year ago, the department next door had a new female employee, about 30 years old. After working together a few times, I felt she was quite gentle, seemingly the quiet type of woman. But she made a big mistake. Not long after joining, she told a colleague A that she had been divorced and was now living with a man 15 years older than her. She thought that colleague A would keep it a secret, but obviously not. This made colleagues in the company have opinions about her. Some people said very harsh words. Even because of this, the leader began to doubt her work ability. Last weekend, I heard she had submitted her resignation. I think that until she left, she still didn't understand what mistake she had made. There will always be many people around you. Sometimes they will show concern, asking, are you worried about anything lately? Or, how are you doing lately? Hearing this, you may feel they are really concerned and tell them everything, and maybe you have fallen into a trap. Not talking about personal matters carelessly is a quality that adults need to have. As the saying goes, every family has its own troubles. Even in a happy family, there are times of discord. Even loving couples have times of arguing and conflict. Bad things in the family should not be brought outside. You tell others everything. On the surface, they will comfort and sympathize, but they cannot solve your real problems. Then, they will take your family's affairs as a topic of discussion during tea breaks. Then, at some point, more and more people will talk about it, and your path will gradually narrow without you knowing. Remember that no family is without arguments. Family life is a process of constant reconciliation and forgiveness. Don't tell others as soon as something happens. Many people like to hear bad things about others the most. They certainly don't sincerely want to help or comfort you. Good news is hard to spread far, but bad news travels 1,000 miles. Some people turn around and spread bad things about your family everywhere. Someone once said, family is the only place you can return to without a reason, a place that is willing to accept you no matter how you change. In this world, a loving family is not only a refuge for the body but also a peaceful place for the soul. To build a harmonious and happy family, communication, companionship, and understanding are indispensable. Communication is the foundation for building good relationships, a catalyst that helps the feelings between people become closer. With a family lacking effective communication, the distance between members will only grow larger. A psychologist once said, what matters is not what happened, but how others feel about it. Always remember that communication in close relationships is the most important thing. When there are problems in the family, you should not tell everyone but should sit down together to talk. Outsiders cannot help you, and you are only satisfying your desire to confide, while they may secretly mock you. The best feng shui for a family is to discuss big things together, forgive and not argue about small things, and not bring up past mistakes. Please remember and fully apply these 8 principles so that your life can be more thuan loi, smooth, benyen, peaceful, and happy in the future.